Welcome back. For anybody that's new, I'm Casey. So in the last video of this truck series, you may have saw me install some speakers right here in my storage, which admittedly uses the up. However, I never really found the point in you going all the way up here for your storage when you already have storage back here. And I'm not talking about in the truck itself, because then it's just going to fly around and it's not going to be very useful. So today I'm going to show you how I install some storage right here in our tailgate where you already have it available. So let's get to it. So now that we have that off, we can not only see where the wires go through, which is right through here. We want to make sure that so we don't cut them. But we can also see where the support is, which is a structure that's going through here. So now what I'm going to account for is a little bit of that thickness, and I'm going to start marking on the other side so that way we can cut this out. So now I don't really have a marker that's going to work well for this, so I'm just going to etch it in with a nail. It'll work fine. So now I got to determine the width of the box that I want, and I'm just kind of doing this based on what I have to here to work with, which is probably what you'll have to do if you have a different type of truck. I do know that I want to build something that goes here, and I still want to be able to access this, which you'll see that in a later video. So that means I'm probably going to want to come right to here. Also, I don't need this to be a huge storage. This is just for my straps and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with right here on each side. And I'll take and I'll square that off, mark that off, and then I'm going to take and mark the bottom edge, and we'll move on to the next step. So this is where I shouldn't have to tell you that if you have a warranty or a loan on your vehicle, don't do this at all. You would need to get a hold of them, and chances are they're gonna tell you no, you can't. Also, you have to think about if you're going to ruin your truck. This is actually going to be a little bit of a stressful project for me because of the fact I have very little miles on my truck, and so therefore it's pretty much new. And yeah, however, I did analyze the cost of it, and a new tailgate would set me back about 350 bucks plus paint, you know, and I think my chances are pretty good that I'm not going to mess this up. I'm going to take my time for sure, but proceed with caution. So now I got to cut it out. The first cut's gonna be the hardest. So believe it or not, the hardest part is done, which is cutting a hole in your truck. So now if you look here, you'll see I didn't quite get it measured out properly, but that is just fine because of the fact the other piece is going to sit on top of this. So it's actually going to make it even stronger. So we actually didn't lose anything, even though it didn't turn out perfect. So now my next steps are going to be to take and put the frame in here, weld it up, actually tack weld it up, and then I'm going to take and clean it up so that way I can do some better welds on it, and then I'll join you from there. Hey, if you guys are liking the video so far, don't forget to give it a share on your favorite social media. It really helps the channel out, and I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm by no means a good welder, but the trick here is to do little dabs of welds and try to let it cool down, keeping the heat as low as possible so you don't burn right through your material. I don't know if any of you guys can catch that, but I put these tabs in upside down, so I'm just going to take and cut it on both ends, flip it over, weld it back up, smoothing it out, and it'll be good. I figure it's easier to do that than it is to remove all of these. 2 welds versus 5, I guess. So, see you in a bit.
What I'm trying to talk about here, but you can't hear me because apparently batteries don't like cold weather, is I'm using rivets here, and that's going to be strong and yet easily changeable if I need to. If I were to try to bolt it, I'd have to be fighting with the back side of everything, and it would just make it really almost impossible. Also, I'm not using piano hinges, as I haven't found them to be very good when it comes to load-bearing stuff. If it's a piano or something on that line, it'd be fine. And on the other side, I thought, you know, the kind of barn-style hinges were just a bit too gaudy and a bit too much. So I felt a bunch of these stacked up were going to be a good alternative. Now, one thing I also want to talk about is that the paint you use is going to be critical. I'm using a two-stage paint here. Now, granted, I'm not painting it right here. I'm going to wait until it's either warmer or I have a garage to do it in. Don't just go using the paint you can find, you know, at your local Lowe's or Menards. Take and go to a body shop and find yourself some good paint. After all, this is your vehicle, you know, it's not just a go-kart. Speaking of it not being your go-kart, so I went with these hinges because of the fact they're nice and big. They're going to allow me to grab it when I have gloves on, and they're going to be very easily accessible, plus they're not plastic. You don't want to try to use any plastic type of locking mechanism on here because it's just going to break as soon as you slide something or bash something. So get something that's nice and heavy duty and strong and is going to hold up to some wear and tear over time. Again, this is for utility. So as you can see in this clip, I did get it painted, clear coated, and it managed to snow and put ice all over it. But I want to finish the video for you guys, so I'm going to use the wife's hairdryer and thaw it out. I also want to mention that when I painted it, I also painted the underside and behind everything, and I also put a layer of rhino liner on there. You want to make sure to get every area, because the area you don't see is going to be the area that's going to rust.
I don't know, my mom and my sister looked at the world a little.
After this foam, I was planning to put some dividers in here, but the way this worked out, I actually didn't end up needing them. However, if you had a bigger space available, you would want to add some dividers, but in my case it wasn't necessary, as objects get very lightly pinched in between the door and the foam.
Well guys, here's the final product. And while you're looking at this, don't forget to share it. It really helped the channel out a lot, and I appreciate it. Anyways, till next time, have a good one.